We started in our first message with the messages that the body speaks, and our body gives signals that are always intentional because he can never do anything from himself. It must be done to him. This is why I am so glad to understand the body's language. I don't need to believe the person, what the person tells me. The symptoms of the body prove something that the patient may not even know. So the signals are clear, they are intentional. Hunger is the lack of food. Thirst is the lack of water. Tiredness is the lack of sleep. Shortness of breath is the lack of oxygen. Freezing is the lack of warmth. Sweating is too much heat. And what is inflammation, cancer, diabetes, osteoporosis for a lack? It's a lack of love. Because love is the most important thing in our lives. What we also did not know. I didn't know it. But imagine if love would be the most important thing in our life, what would automatically be most important for us? What? Who is love? God is love. If love would be that what we really need, and we would know that we cannot take it from nowhere else than God, then God would be the center of our life, the center of our thoughts. We would revolve around Him. But we will see that our thoughts are not revolving around God because we are not aware of this first need. Now, since it is the first need, and God made it so that we are not conscious of it, that's why we might ignore it. I mean, not knowing it better. But for me, understanding the human being, that disease is nothing else than the expression, the physical expression of the need for love. That's disease. Because there is no other reason why we should be sick, except for this thing that we miss in our lives because we don't know how to satisfy it. We know how to satisfy hunger. We know how to satisfy water or sleep or whatever, but we don't know how to satisfy the need for love. And since these are things that are just in our minds, it's just in our thoughts, we need to understand our thoughts. And we came to the conclusion that our thoughts are processing of an information that we encounter with. Then where do they come from? They come from ourselves, from our own spirit. They come and they have a starting point, and we will look to the starting point tonight so that we understand where do we start thinking and what are the thoughts able to do. Then we know the thoughts are able to do everything, because everything we do is just a result of what we think. So what is their role in health? So if love is the first need and our thoughts give the first power to the body, then evidently our thoughts are central in our health. So we have to answer this question, and I think we did it in a certain amount, but we are still in it. So we have seen the structure of the human being. He is a being composed of two elements, a physical and a spiritual element, and that makes a whole being. That's the soul. And then we have seen that function is not in the body, but in the spirit. The spirit governs every function that is in the being. So when a person comes to me and has a deficiency of iron, then where can I have that deficiency of iron if I did not have a bleeding? Yeah? If you have a bleeding, then you have a deficiency, but you have no bleeding. And many ladies especially have deficiency of iron, but even men. Where does it come from? Who makes the balance of sugar in the body? Insulin or the mind? So this is where I came to learn that it's not insulin. When I had once a patient, I had many patients with diabetes type 1, and that's a perfect thing to watch, how your thought immediately changes your blood sugar. Yeah, in splits of second. Your blood sugar can rise or it can down, like the hypertension. So she was in a court session before she, yes, and when you go to court, how do you feel? Yes, you are under a certain pressure because you want to win the case or not lose the case in which you are. And so her blood sugar is rising. And she has the pump. Yeah, we have now mechanism over the app. We can just, technique is making those things possible. And then she puts the insulin in, but the sugar is still rising because the mind is stronger than the sugar. Than the insulin. And then she does this for 1 or 3 times, and it still is not lowering. And then you get nervous. You think, you have to push more because I have to keep it down. When does the sugar stop? When does the sugar get low? Or better to say, when does it jump down? When is the insulin working? In the moment she is over the court session. She relaxes, and now the insulin works. But now it works how? Too much. And so you get in the undersugar. Yeah? So those things are amazing to see. I have wounds. I had one time a wound in the ear of my patient, and we have for wounds a miracle medication, which is cortisol, and I put there the cortisol and on a tissue, and then say next day we change that, so we'd have intensive therapy pushing that inflammation back from the drum. But instead of getting better under the cortisol and the antibiotic, it got worse. So, and it was an elderly gentleman, and sometimes I don't talk to everyone, what do you have on your heart? Because I believe maybe they don't understand me. You see, when you go to the doctor and he looks to your ear and asks you, what is your wife doing? You fall from your, from chair. Yeah. So I'm more careful. But this time I said, this guy must have something that it does not work. And so I said to him, you must have something that pushes your inflammation go on. And then he told me a similar story. He was in a fight with his sister-in-law because there was an inheritance issue, and the court was in 3 weeks. So the whole 3 weeks, nothing worked. And I called him to come in to, when the court was over, everything worked. And in a few days, the ear got healed. So the power is in what we think. Yeah? There is our power. And no one can go against the thought. Our body is doing that, what we think, because we were made like that. Information controls everything in our body. That's why when you have hormonal difficulties, you need to go to the Spirit, because He governs every hormone in your body. He keeps every balance. Some people come to me and say, well, you have to eat more alkaline so that you get not so sour your blood. Yeah? And then I said, well, if your spirit would not be so sour, you don't need to take alkalines, because you would just be in balance. Yeah? But we don't put any emphasis, because medicine doesn't put it, because they want us to not be in control of ourselves, but they should give us the control through medication. You do this, you do this, you do this, and you have to do it forever. So That's why the first need is love, because the Spirit needs also a power by which He works, and that is information. And all this are unchangeable. They are science. No one can change them. These are the key to understanding ourselves. So we saw the human structure. Once again, we need chemistry and electrical current, and then the Spirit comes. He comes and needs love, freedom, faithfulness, and justice. By His satisfaction of it makes the electrical impulse, and all together is the soul, and the soul is just the connection between the two. And there is a special place where the connection is between the spirit and the body, and that connection is the heart. That's how the Bible describes the heart. And from the heart, everything is governed. It's the center of our being, from where everything starts and everything returns to the heart. And this was what I was searching for when I came to see certain things during my time in my practice. I went to God, and I still remember where I was in the wood, because we lived out in nature, where I was in the wood, and I was asking God. I said, if I don't understand where the starting point in the human being is, I will just cut branches, but I don't know where the root is. And I said, there must be a root from where everything starts, because a circuit must have a beginning and it must have the end exactly at that same point. And so I was searching for that. And we also know from the Bible that there are two options. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good. So everything comes from within. An evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. So now the question is, what is good and what is evil? Because the treasure is that what we need to find out. And so how many things must come from the heart according to Luke? Jesus was the one that created us, so all things come from our hearts. That's why my attending physician, Solomon, he lived 300 years ago, 3,000 years ago. He had a very good saying. He says, keep thy heart with all diligence, because out of it are the issues of life. Now, how can you keep your heart if you don't know it? You don't know how it works. Solomon evidently knew, because he was speaking in Proverbs 4. Read the Bible, the verses. He says, the words that we put in our hearts, and words are information, they are life and health to the whole body. So he knew that our body is governed by information, not by the chemical elements. The chemical elements are just used. Information is the king. And we have not known this. So in my attempt to find out, I thought at the beginning that all diseases have different causes. So I put my people, in groups. I made the tinnitus group, the hearing in the noise, and I wanted to know what is their common denominator. Why do you get a tinnitus in your ear? And I found things that were fitting to them. Then dizziness. What is the group that have dizziness? Why is it there? And then you go and find what is the throat pain or any disease I put there, and I wanted to know what's the common thing. And I started my practice in 2004, and so I came at the end of 2007. Sometimes I saw something that changed everything in my attempt to understand. I found that in every group, the common denominator was the same. That is, every group had the same thought that was provoking their problems, and that was the thought of loss. If there is no loss, there is no problem. You know that? If there is no danger to lose anything, there is no fear. Fear is excluded. In the moment you have control over the loss, fear is gone. So seeing this, it took me 4 months to be convinced there is not more than loss. I knew from the beginning. When the patient came to me, I said, well, let's see, what is his history? What is it talking about? And bingo, it was about loss. Because there's no more. And so I found out how we think subconsciously. And we have the conscious, there we have our will, there we have our needs. The green needs are the body needs, thirst and hunger and freezing and sweating. And the red ones are the spiritual needs. The H is for harmony, that's my first need. And then J for justice, L for liberty, T for truth, W for wisdom, and S for security. So all those are some of our spiritual needs that we all have set in us, and no one can not satisfy them. Our will and the will of every human being is different. It doesn't matter what you want, because what you want can be as different as it is, but the way you satisfy that need is equal in all of you. So a rose bush has many roses. How many roses are the same? None of it. But they all are on the same bush, and they function with the same needs, and in the same way they are satisfied to come out. So the will is made by God to be different, and every one of us is different. Is it nice that we are different? Yes. I mean, it's also good when you find some people that are similar with you, but those who are not similar with you, they challenge you. Yeah? So, and it's nice to see when you have 4 children, like we were 4 siblings then every child has other ideas. Yes, the one does this and this and this, and yeah. So that's God-given. And it's also God-given that our heart, the way we function, by what we function, is identical. So everyone needs harmony, but not everyone has harmony at the same place where you put harmony. And then if you have it in another place, then you can just have another, how can I say, Schwerpunkt, another center of ideas. So if justice is your first need, then you will see everything to the eyes of justice. If liberty is your first need, you will see everything through the eye of liberty. And you also need harmony, but it won't be so much in the center like for the person that needs that. So I came to observe certain things, and they are nice, but they are different, and we can see that. So in the subconscious, we have just the Schnittstelle, how you call Schnittstelle? Who's German here? The place where you have the cutting, the threshold, yes? So there is a threshold between the body and the spirit. And here we have just plus and minus, yeah? So there is no way to put the body into function except by yes or by no, by electricity or no electricity. That's how we work, like a computer. And the spirit is me, who is above it, and he needs to put the whole system into work. And he puts him into work by deciding between 2 categories of information. So we have 5 entering systems, like 5 senses, and they all come to the same point, in the heart, to the spirit, and in the spirit he is there. He needs to reduce all information to just 2 ideas, categories. And I discovered first the loss. And after I was sure, after 4 months, that we just think and all negative things is loss, then I understood what is the other side. And then I looked to all there was elections that years, and I looked to the pictures with the elections, the billboards. So what are elections promising you? Good thing or bad things? Good things. So I said, well, look, they all promise you gain. Yeah? So have you ever seen a advertising that doesn't promise you gain or avoiding loss? There's only these two information in any advertising. You can check it. You see it. Either it promises you gain or it promises you avoiding of loss, because those are the two things. And so we were made to go for the gain. We say yes to the gain, and we must say no to the loss. That's made, that functions, no one can change that. So everything we consider as a gain, we may say yes, but we also, if it's not a big gain enough, we can say we stay with zero. We're good as we are. But whatever comes below zero, that's the line, the neutral line, the zero line, the green line in between. Everything that goes below it, you must avoid. You must say no. So we could not govern our lives if we could ever say yes to no. I mean, to say yes to loss. We only can say yes to loss by what? By what? By believing it is a gain. You only believe a lie because you believe it is a truth. You can never believe a lie. It's impossible, because you were made for the truth. And everything you would consider a lie, you cannot take in. But if someone is showing you a lie that you believe as a truth, it is a truth, you take it in, because it's a gain. So we can only switch the gain and the loss, but never the yes and the no. What you consider a gain is going to give you a good feeling, good emotion, and everything that you consider a loss will take you and give you a negative emotion. So, give a simple example. When we drink water, subconsciously we think it's a gain. You're not conscious that you think it's a gain when you drink water. You stop drinking the water when you subconsciously think if you drink more, it's a loss. But you're not conscious of that. When you go and pick your food, I mean, I was fed very well here. The only thing was I'm not used to so much spice, even though, because I have a sensitive, I'm a sensitive person, so my stomach is like me. Even though I like the spicy, if I would have a strong stomach like my wife has, by example, I would eat spicy because, it tastes good, it makes you addictive. So that's why I understand people who are doing that. So, but you have to take a decision when you taste it, what to do. You see certain things. Yesterday at lunch, it was a full table, and you had to choose. How did you choose? You just said gain or loss, gain or loss, gain or loss. For the gain you took, when you tasted it, it's a loss. Spit it out. So that's how it works. You are not conscious how you do these decisions, but it is just between gain and loss. If you see something, it must be a gain. How do people fall in love? Because they believe the person they found is what? Big gain or small gain? Big gain, yes. The bigger the gain, the bigger the feeling. The bigger the feeling. Now, why does the feeling disappear with the time? Because the gain gets smaller. As at the beginning you say, wow, this is a diamond. Now it becomes gold. And then from gold it becomes silver. And from silver it becomes, and it's still good with it if it's not rusty. And the moment it's rusty, you have to get rid of him or of her. Yeah? Before, you keep them. Yes? Until they come to the 0 line, it's still okay. But when it goes beyond, no way. It's over. Yeah? That's how we function. And it's good to know it. Because if we would give value to our neighbor, we would always feel good. But if we devalue our neighbor by our prejudices and our judgment, who is suffering? We are suffering. Because we feel something that we produce to our body because we devalue the other person. Have you ever devalued person? Did you ever disconsider persons? How did you feel when you despise a person? You know, it's a terrible thing, yeah? But we do it unconsciously because we will see we have there a subconscious error in us that makes us to think that we are higher than the others. So this is the thing that I came to understand, and I think it occupied my mind for at least a year. I was just speaking about this. Because that's how you find out things, and then you just are excited. I said, I know now how you take decisions and how you become sick. But when I saw it, being a Christian, I said, Lord, if just the thought of floss makes us sick, and this is such an important message, important information, then it should be there out a long time ago. Should it not? Can you today discover something that is decisive for our health and it should be new and no one should know it? It cannot be. And so I went to God and said, show me where it is written in the Bible. Because even though I read the Bible several times since my childhood, because it was my favorite book, because I want to become a pastor, and as a pastor you need to know what you have to about. So I went to him and said, I haven't seen this yet in the Bible. Yeah? Do you? I mean, there are some Bible knowledge people here, but where do you see that the heart is like that? And you know where I found it? I found it in the center of the Sermon on the Mount. Some people believe that in a certain way things are written, and exactly in that center, Jesus describes exactly the same thing with other words, but it's identical because the words do not matter. What matters? The information they bear, they convey. So, Matthew 6, 19 to 20. Lay not up for yourself treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will where? Your heart be also. So what does the heart need? It needs a treasure. It needs gain. And now we come back. If you look just to these two Bible verses, what is the only condition for the treasure? Well, what is the difference between the heavenly and the earthly treasure? So, pardon? Exactly. So that's simple. If you lose your treasure, you lose your life. That's as simple as it is. And disease is nothing else than the loss of a treasure. The higher the treasure, the higher the disease. Because we think in these two thoughts, gain and loss, we have to say no to the loss. Latest, when can we not say no to the loss? In the moment we die. Yes, before we die, we know that we can keep how much? Nothing. So later on, when I saw this with Jesus, how often do I now see it in the Bible? And there is even a doctoral dissertation about the heart in the Bible. You know which that is? It was given by the most wisest person, yes, that lived on earth. And he gave it from the perspective that we will see from the wrong perspective. And its title is, Everything is what? Vanity. 12th chapter, Ecclesiastes, just speaks about gain and loss. And he said it is vanity. Why? Pardon? Vanity of vanity. What is vanity? What he wanted to explain with vanity, of vanity. What is it? It is what? A loss. He describes there all his searching for gain. Did he have any lack of something, Solomon? No, he even says, I had that what all man desires, 1,000 women. Yeah, he said it. Have you read it? He was very clear and just concentrate on himself. So, so from that perspective, he said, I had everything. Had everything. But he said it's all vanity of vanity because you can lose it. Whatever you can lose will not give you in life purpose. Purpose is just then fulfilled when you cannot lose it. And so we need to know, how do we get to that? And Solomon had to find it out on the hard way. He was speaking from the depressive point, yeah, as he writes 12 chapters from a wrong point of view, so that we understand where the deception of the heart is. And he was depressed because he saw that he can keep nothing of them. Everything he had would go to another one, and he said, I worked for the others, and it's vanity to work for others. So it's a great discovery. Study it, the Ecclesiastes. It's just about gain and loss. And he says it, I was studying it. What is that? What is gain? And he comes to the end of the chapter, of the 12 chapters, and he says, let us listen to the conclusion of all matter. What is it? Fear God and keep the commandment, for this is the duty of every man, because every man will give an account for everything that he has done, good or evil. Yeah? So things get in Solomon's ideas very simple. At one point, he came and understood the truth. So the earthly treasure can be taken away because you can die or anyone can steal it from you. The moth can eat it, the rust can eat it. You put it somewhere so that no one finds it, and then you forget where it is, so you lost it. Yeah? So not much gained. We need to search for a treasure. God didn't say, don't go for a treasure. Oh, we have to go for a treasure. I want to be rich. The want to be rich is not a choice. You need to be rich. No one wants or can be not rich. Are you with me? There's no choice for that. Yeah? So, did I give you here the idea of a choice? If we take a man type choice, let's see that you have a choice to take a Porsche, yeah, good car, Porsche, or you have here a Kia, a small Kia, something, yeah. So what will you choose? You always will choose the more the treasurable, and that's no choice, because you can predict what you choose. You cannot choose between. You cannot go to the shop and see something, or maybe the same thing, but the one is very valuable and the other one is less valuable, but they have the same price. What will you buy? You can only buy the more valuable. You never will see any advertising, come to my shop, my stuff is the worst and the most expensive. Yeah? Everything you do by that, it will not work because our mind are set for the gain. That's why these politicians in Germany, one was saying of his picture and said, rich, to be rich for everyone. Yeah? So everyone should be rich. So will that work? Yes. Is it possible? No. But it is a good advertising because everyone needs to be rich. Why do children play games? If you know how the heart works, they need to what? Gain. Planes are stupid things. I mean, I look sometimes in the plane what people play, and some play on that computer. I said the bills are falling, and then you count something, and I said, how much wisdom is in that? Well, you say, okay, it's in the plane, so just lose our time somehow until we get to the point. But people are fascinated. Why? Because they need to gain, and the more they lose, the more they play. You know that? Because they must come back to beat that thing because you need to gain. And people sell their house, they lose everything because they cannot lose. And they think the next time I will get it back. And so they are in a machine. No one can stop them as long as they don't see that what they do is deceptive and wrong. So the heavenly treasure is something you have full control over it. It cannot be lost because you know how to have it. And that's why it guarantees you eternal life. Remember, Jesus was once asked the question by a rich young man. He came to see, what shall I do to what? Inherit eternal life. What did Jesus say? Well, he said, first keep the commandments. And then the young man said, which one? And Jesus told him the second table. And the man said, all this I kept from my youth. And now Jesus says, but you still lack one thing. Because one thing is all things. And that was, do what you think you keep. Yeah? So the second commandment says you should give. And now Jesus says, give all that you have. Because the law requires from you to give as much. How much? From what you take. All of it. If not, you're not selfless. The stomach does not keep anything for himself. Nothing in this earth keeps anything for itself. And it just keeps it to use it and gives it on. So the man was promised, says, sell everything that you have and give it to the poor, that you may have a heavenly treasure. Because if you have a heavenly treasure, your life is eternal, automatically, because you can't lose it. And if your heart is bound to the treasure, you are secure. And how can you secure the treasure? By others' doings or by your doings? Yeah, your doings. You have to sell everything. You have to give on whatever you had there to. And so having the control over the treasure means you have control over your life. You like it? I enjoy it. Yeah? Because it gives me clarity. I know how to gain the heavenly treasure, and no one can take it away from me because it's just dependent on what I do or not do. Not dependent on what others doing or not doing, because it is just the way we were made to function. And we'll see the law is there. But Jesus didn't finish the description of the heart in Matthew 21. He continues the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. And then he says, the next verse, but if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? Now, does Jesus speak about the light or about understanding? About what he speaks? Spiritual eye or physical eye? Yes, because you cannot have an evil eye that is physical. Yeah? So the single eye and the deceptive eye, how Luther translates the evil eye, he translates ein Schalksauge, that's the eye of a one that is lying to you, is cheating on you. That's the eye. So you see, the good eye, you can be full of light. The evil eye, you are full of darkness. And now imagine there where the light should be, that is your understanding should be, you have the evil eye, the darkness. How great is the darkness? And then the next Bible verse concludes the heart. It says, you cannot serve two masters. You either serve the one and hate the other, or follow the one, or just follow the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. So there's only two options. There are not more. And the eye, the way you see it, is what determines it. And finding the eye was the most important thing for me to understand. And we will see what is the eye, because I found it out I found out all things by praying and by adjusting and seeing how things work. So the one eye says you have a gain when you receive something. The other eye says you have a gain when you give something. Which is the right eye? Now, reason tells us that by giving we have the gain. We know that by reason. But by our deception, we think it's opposite. I put this question to young people. I don't see we have here very young people. Tina is old already. She knows everything. I need more younger, okay? But let's see. Can even ask Tina. When are you free? When do you have when are you free and you exercise freedom? When you do what you want, or when you let others do what they want? When are you free? So this is a tricky question. If we don't know it, we believe we need to receive freedom. Yeah? And that's why we want to do what we want. But we only have freedom if we allow the other to do what he wants. Then you also can do what you want. But if you don't allow the other to do what he wants, you lose your own freedom. So it's only by giving you prove that you have it. If you're free, you give freedom. If you're not free, you will control everyone because you have to. Yeah? So freedom and satisfaction of our needs is by giving. Now, when we look to the opposite of it, because the positive might not be so difficult, but let's see, if receiving is gain, what is the loss? What is the loss? I don't have time because he told me 1 hour and 45 minutes, so not receiving, or receiving too little, or something is taken away. Those are the ideas of loss if that is receiving is gain. If giving is gain, then not giving is what? Loss. Keeping is loss. And now remember the words of Jesus. What did he say? He who wants to keep his life will lose it. And he who will give it will gain it. Simple? Is it all there? Yes? It's fantastic. It's in the midst of our hearts, our subconscious. So when we understand it, it's good. So every problem arises because we don't know where to look. So let's see, the good eye looks to what? It looks to yourself. What you have to do and what you not have to do. And the evil eye looks to others. Now, which is selfish eye and which is unselfish eye? You know, it's amazing to see because selfishness is a great trick. Yeah? It looks like you have an interest in the other. And you have an interest in the other for yourself. For yourself. You never have an interest in others except it is for yourself. That's why people are so eager to look to others. They just think, oh, what he thinks. Is it important what your husband thinks about you? Yes or no? Of course not. I mean, it's his problem. Let him, it's in his mind. Yeah? So, it's just important what I think about the others. That gives me power. Not what I believe others thinking on me. But you see, through the deceptive eye, we always are focused, oh, what does he think? What does he say? What did they do? How they are? You're always checking the others. I have patients that phone their mom 5 times a day, and they're adults. Yeah? And why do you do this? Because they are in need. They need to see if their love source, that what they live from, is okay. Yeah? And if they're not okay, then you're in trouble. Yeah? So better not call. Yeah? People need to call. They cannot stand still. They need to know because they live from that knowledge. So there is this disease that is called, when people believe that they are hunted or they are, how you call this, the paranoid, yes. There's a camera that watches me, and there are people that always watches me, and you know this paranoid where you think that someone has an interest in you. You know that no one has an interest in you? It's just stupid to think that anyone has an interest in you. No one cares for you. You don't believe it? That's the truth. But imagine that the government cares for you. So they are just, their whole interest is just for you. They even want to keep you alive by all force. It's amazing, isn't it? The truth is very helping us. No one cares for me. Be still. Don't think on that. They only care if they have an interest in you, in themselves, in you. Yeah? So love would care for the other, but that is something that gives the other the freedom to do what he wants. We'll see that in the next times. So every problem that we have in life comes because we take the loss personal. It's my loss. If it's not my loss, I can leave it and I can let it go because I don't need to say no to it. But if it's my loss, I need to say no by all means. So, why do we believe that we can have personal loss? Why do we believe that something is ours? And that's what I found out, what is the I in reality. So selfishness is the idea that I have property, something belongs to me. That's selfishness or egoism. And pride has the bottom idea, I can create. I can do something out of me. And that's why I can and I have. I give first, but I never give for free. I always want something back. And the more I see this, and I now share this for 15 years, I'm still amazed how I see myself giving in order to receive. It's amazing. It's so deep in us. But it's good that you see it so that you can do something about it, to stop it. It's so subconscious, it's so unwilling that we just do nice things, we smile, but we want to get a smile back. Yeah? So receive. So this is how we work. We always give first in order to receive. And when we don't receive, we get into trouble. So let's look, what is identity? What is the I? Why can the human have no property or possession? Or can he have something? Can he say something is mine? Or can he not? Pardon? My body, yes. Is it mine? Well, if it is mine, then I can do with him what I want. Yeah? Because I saw this in people that are abused. Their body is abused, and they suffer a whole lifetime because they believe they were personally abused. If they would say the body of Christ was abused, they would have nothing. Simple to think like that? No, because we automatically take everything personal. We have no way, because our heart is deceiving us that my body is my body, my life is my life, my time is my life, my eye is my life, my work is my, nothing is mine. Now, the answer is simple, because he cannot create anything. If we can create anything, then it's ours. But tell me what you have created. And you can never create. Pardon? Children, yes, yeah, that's a good idea. Yes. Do we make children, or we just pass on children? Where do you have your eggs from? Where do you have your body from? Well, yes, from God, but it came to your parents, yes? So all your eggs you have from the beginning with you, yes? They just ripen, yeah? So we can never give anything from ourselves, because everything that we are is given to us by inheritance. Yeah? That's why we give it on, and giving it on, it multiplies. That's how the law gets. When you give, you become more. You put one seed and you get 70 seeds of wheat, where you make the bread. Yeah? So you put one seed, it makes 70. And you put one seed, it makes even 100. Yeah? So that's how multiplication works. We're just passing on what we got from our parents. We can never pass on anything that is coming from myself, because everything that I am is inherited. So, but parents believe this, and they say to the children, if I would have known how you are, I would have aborted you. Yeah? Or the father tells to his 16-year-old daughter, I made you and I kill you. That's how we think in ourselves, in our heart. We really believe our children are ours. And when we lose them, then we lost a big treasure or a small treasure? Big treasure. And you cannot get rid of that idea. I remember again and again that one patient of mine, he was a professor of biology, university professor. You think they know how things work. And he got a depression since 2 years. Before 2 years, 5 years before, he got an infection of his left ear that did not heal on his eardrum. And a year before that, he lost his whole manhood, so he could not have any more intimacy at the age of 44. So if you hear all these body symptoms, what do you know now that you know how the heart works? What do you know? you're a doctor now. Are you? You hear it, what do you immediately know? I mean, maybe I expect too much from you, but you know that that person had a big loss. Or at least it evaluated the loss very big. Because some people evaluate little loss, very big. Some people evaluate big loss, very little. And you will see it in the body beautifully correlating with how great you see that loss. But you know, this gentleman must have or see his loss very big. You just need to find out now, what did he lose? And he lost 9 years ago. His last child, they have 4 children. He said this last child came after a while, and it was an angel for us. 6-year-old daughter was selling cherries on the street, and the cherries were gone, and she wanted to go to get some more cherries, runs over the street, and the car hits her, and she dies. It's 9 years now. How is the mind of this man? Free or unfree? I asked him, how often do you think on your child? He says, the whole time. And then I asked him, I said, look, because I like to make these games of thinking. 9 years before, or even more years, when he had no 4th child, how did he feel? How was he? It was okay, because he had not a 4th child. Now, I think, why would you not go back to think the same before you had it? Because when you didn't have it, you felt good. Now that you lost it, you're in prison. Why would you not go back and think like before? Can he? He cannot. Why? Because he deceives himself, believing his child is his child. And his body is deteriorating because he lost his greatest treasure. And then you have guilt. You accuse your wife. Yeah? And you go on, and at 48 you are depressed and may take your life or whatever you do, because you cannot overcome a deception, believing that something is yours. Now let's do the mathematics. If you can do little mathematics. I'm not a mathematician, but let's do it. 6-year-old child, is it a gain or a loss? You know, you didn't have it before, and you have it for 6 years. Is it a gain or is it a loss? It's a gain. So why would you not be thankful for 6 years? Because the moment you would be thankful for 6 years, you would have nothing. You would accept and say, it went away, but I lost nothing, because before I had nothing, now I had it for 6 years, so why not being happy for 6 years? Can we think like that? No, we cannot. I had another father who came with his tinnitus in his right ear, very strong tinnitus for 4 weeks. And you know, when a tinnitus comes, that it is a loss. Everything, you know, if you scratch your thing, or you know now, it's always a loss. Yeah? Something you want to control and not control, believing that it's yours. And I talked to him and said, what happened in your life? And he told me that 1.5 years, his 8-year-old daughter died on cancer, and he has still 2 more little children, younger than her. And he told me the story. I said, okay, it fits perfectly to your noise in the ear. But I said, it's 1.5 years, and you got your noise now for a month ago. How do you think? Does it not get, how can I say, lower? No, he says it gets worse. He says, I cannot bear the thought anymore that I lost my child. And where will he end up? Latest, he will end up maybe in psychiatry, because time, does not heal the wound. It does not do it. It even adds to the burden that you have in your heart. So I said to him, you need to change something. I said, do you lost your attention to the two child that you still have? Because now he is willing to die because he lost one, but he forgets then now all others. Is that amazing? If you speak in your life with 100 or let's say 1,000 people, you don't need to read any book anymore. You know everything about the human being. Because you listen to stories that you have never listened before. Before I started to talk to my patient, I had no idea how hurt people are. Zero idea what is going on. But I heard I think sometimes I heard all stories that exist on this earth with every evil thing that can happen. Yeah? And you see them, how hurt humanity is. And if the disease would not come out, they would never even be able to address the situation and get rid of it. Yeah? That's why the body comes to help us to see that we are deceived. So we conclude, our children are not ours because we have not made them. We just pass them on because they don't come from us. They come from Adam, and Adam comes from God. What does the human think he can create? Because now you must be a creator in order to believe this. So human being, he believes oxygen. Can we create oxygen? No. So how do we satisfy it? Take to give according to the law. Air is the source of it. Water, we cannot create. We take to give. That's on the water well. Food, we cannot create. We can only make it spicy. And take to give. Yeah. So we take it from the earth. Yeah. So now, love. That's the most decisive thing. When I ask my patients, where do love come from? What is every patient tell me if he's not a pre-set Christian? What do they say? It comes from me. Comes from me. Every human being thinks love comes from him. So that's why he believes love is his creation. That's why he gives it first in order to receive. And you need no source for it because you have the source in you. And I have my patients that are believing many things, and it's amazing what people can believe. And they say, I need just to find out where in me the love source is. And then I can open it, and then I am fulfilled. I said, when you find it, tell me. But search also for a water well in you. Maybe find a water well, and then you don't need to drink water anymore. Would be good, because some people carry a bottle all the time with them. They would not keep a bottle anymore, because you just take it from yourself. So that's how we believe. And people are convinced in those things. That's not something that you just, They are convinced that things are like that. So what does the human think he can create? He thinks that he can create love. He thinks love is his creation. Now, if love is his creation, who does he think he is? He must think he's God. So God is the creator and man is a creature. A system that exists by itself is God. All things come from him and all return to him. He's totally independent because he has no beginning and no end. Now, we are a channel, and everything creation had a beginning and an end, because you have an entrance and an exit. You are a channel. You can never give what you did not take before. That's perfect, is it? So what does the human being think he is? He believes he's a creator, he's a God. Now, is that easy to transmit to the patient? Yeah? I would be happy if 10 people of you would go out here today and will be convinced that they are believing their gods. Would it not be nice? Because these people would have a chance to be saved. So that's why I have to prove it to you. I have to prove it to my patients that they all subconsciously, not consciously, consciously only the crazy people believe their God. Yes? You have seen the schizophrenians and all. They know that they're God. Yeah, they say it. And children. Look to children. Children play perfectly God. Yes? You just need to look to them and you see their godliness comes out. They want to control everything. They punish you if you don't listen to them. They cry. It's a perfect system. It comes out beautifully in a child what it is inside. Yeah? So let's prove to us that something in us tells us a terrible lie about ourselves. And I have two evidence things that is visible. You see, you can only see the visible, the invisible by the visible. Yeah? So, what is the worst behavior of man in which he finds his most pleasure? So, what is the worst behavior of man in which he finds his greatest pleasure? Now, I don't have time because we need to run, because we have more presentation. It is the tea example. You like the tea example? The tea, not tea, the t. T-r. T-r-u-m-p. You like the big T? No? Why not? So, when you have all the money of the world, you're not satisfied. You're only satisfied when you're the king of the world. That's how it is. Power over others is the greatest satisfaction for man. We only need money to be powerful than others, to prove to others that we are better, and they need to worship us. So the constant fighting between the genders proves that we do not have love relationship, we have fighting relationships. Yes, I fight with my wife now for 43 years. Yeah. So who is up and who is down? You just do it by default, do you? Because in my eyes, I have always right. You? Are you different than me? I don't think so. We all have rights. That's why we fight. Everyone with his own rights. So you, boom. Power over others is the worst thing, but we all enjoy it most. We're very satisfied. I gave it to him. I showed it to him. I am above him. Yeah. And it's, I tell you, it's so deep in us. I so hate it to have power over others, but I still do it. I still want to control certain things, yeah, in my life. Then control over others. Yes, here, if anyone is more vulnerable for control, it's the mothers. Yes, mothers are the chiefs in control. Yeah, they want to put on the phone of their children. What do they put? An app so that they can control it. I have a patient. It was a father. He had an 11-year-old child, and he said he broke all my applications in one day. So he said, I gave it up. I said, but how did he find it out? Well, he says they have a community. They ask, how do you know this app? How do you break it? And then the answer says, it's breaking like that. And they find it out, and zack, it's gone. And the control is over. And the father gave it up. Because does the father something wrong? Does he want something wrong? No, but he wants to, what? Control his child. Yeah. So women are more controllable than men. Whenever I would have, if I would be a chief to have a job for controlling, I only would take women for control. They are without mercy, you know? They don't know mercy. You come to a man, you can say, They say, okay. But a woman, you have one white hair, suck. Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? So you're laughing. It's a little bit, something to laugh about. Then we all judge. We are all judging others. Do we judge others or not? Yes, I tell you, there is no one that do not judge others. He sees him. He has glasses. Look how he looks. And already you have put him into a category. And you know he's like that and he's like that. And you know, because now that I work for 21 years with humans, do you think I see people and I know them? Yes. It's amazing. There are a few types of people only. And you can put them in a certain type. By just seeing them, you know, oh, this is a complicated case. You know, just you look to the eyes. So then you say, okay, and sometimes you're wrong still, but it's amazing how we judge others. And because we are the measure. Yes? I said to my wife when we got married at the beginning, I said, if you always do what I say, you will be happy. Well, isn't that a nice thing? Well, when have you seen a woman that is obeying? No, my wife is a strong woman in the will. If she wants something, you should just let her go. Because if not, you stay in the way, you get blisters and all kinds of, So let it better happen, So we think that I am the measure. All people need to do it like I want them to do it, because I know it the best. That's why we have in all our hierarchic systems chiefs who do not tell you to do something, they tell you how to do it. But this is taking away our liberty, because we were given to do something, but like we know it best. Adam was not said, oh, this is a donkey, name him donkey. No, Adam had the ability to name the animals like he wants them to name. God didn't say there, said, no, this is not a donkey. He was totally free, but he was not free to choose his job, because God has given him a job, and he took the job, but he was in the way to do it. We're free. We have the freedom how to do it. But now in the deception, we want to make method the standard, not the principle the standard. So that's why you will see all education do not educate principles, but methods. And you do it like I do it. No, everything has to do it his own way. Because we are not the measure for others how to do it. The work needs to be done. The child needs to clean the house or whatever she has to do, the chores. But how the child does it, it's allowed to do it, but it has to be perfect. So if he does it with left or with right, if it comes from behind and say this, leave it alone. Maybe it has better ideas than you. So that's why we don't advance, because we made method the principle, while only the principle can be a principle and not the method. Education is not educating method, but principles. The method is individual always. So every human being asks for worship. Have you ever asked for worship? Yes. To praise, to get appreciation, respect, applause. That's how you live from. Do you? Yeah? You like the applause. You like to be appreciated. That's why you want to be famous. No? If you're famous, then you have power over others. Because everyone worships you. And then the greatest proof is that we give before we take. God exists by himself. He has no needs. He gives only. The human being is a channel he needs to take in order to give. Now, if he starts with giving, who is he? He must consider himself God. And every human being starts with giving. I give you something, that I receive something back. Now look to all this behavior. Do you see yourself or not? Yes or no? If you don't see it, then it's a problem. So everyone has the same behavior. When it comes into a difficult situation, you might say, I'm the most coolest person. I'm so patient. Like I said to my wife once, I said, if you would not provoke me continually, I would be a saint. That's it. Don't provoke me, I'm a saint. So I'm a saint when I get provoked. That's why we need provocation. In my devotion today, I was excited what I read. What says there? It is not in God's intention that you have no temptations. It's not in God's intention, because only by challenges you see who you are. So that quote, it comes from 1900, yes. So she learned a lot of things when she wrote that, and I'm excited to see how nice it is. It's not in God's intention that you should have no problems. It's in God's intention that you have problems, that you understand if you are in the Spirit of God that gives you freedom, or are you in that you need to, yes, in order to, when you control, you're not free. So I believe, I prove to my patients that they have all this behavior, and then they must believe they're gods, because only a God has power or has even the control, but God does not control, but that's divine things. And then there is the second proof. You can go through all the ideologies of the human being. And we take first religion, because those are the most. The most are teaching and believing they are gods and use power to rule. COVID was the greatest discovery of religions, that they are just what? Systems to control. There was no freedom. Yes? You had to put signs. I thank God I never put a sign of distance in my practice. Yeah? I had a lot of problems with the police and so on. I said, this is a free place, because this is God's practice. I will never put any human or dishuman sign here. If you want to put it yourself. Never one showed up to put it. So it was always free. No people came in. Oh, I got one, because in the internet in Germany you can evaluate the doctor. And some people give me good evaluation. And this guy was saying, don't go into that practice. No one wears a mask there. It was the best advertising that ever happened. Yeah, because I got all those who didn't like the mask. So they felt good. So power over others you can only use when you have a good reason to do it. And someone needs to give you the authority, and then you do it pleasurably. That's how it works. Yeah? You need to obey because you're afraid, and if you do it, you get your fine. But why would you do something that is against your conscience? Because it is power over others. I wrote them a nice letter. I said, my patient can come in my practice like he wants to come. He can be washed, he can be naked, he can be dressed, he can be rich, he can be poor, he can have money, have insurance, no insurance. I will always treat him. There's no condition for me to not treat a patient, because that's love. If I put a condition to my patient, I do not love him. So, atheists, agnostics, humanists, and all others, they believe that they are gods because they believe they're spiritually independent. They don't need a God in order to orient themselves. That's why they are atheists. They're humanists, they're communists. Yes, I was raised up in communism, so I know a lot of it. And then comes science. Science is the greatest revelation of the human heart's deception, because the theory of evolution arose in the human heart who believes he's a God. So we had to create ourselves, and we made ourselves. And who is the highest creation in evolution? What is the crown of evolution? It's the man is the highest being. You can go through all of these theories, and if you know that the human heart believes is a God, you will find in their writings, in what they teach, you will find exactly that it comes from the idea, I am higher and someone needs to do my will. So I put this on a tree. We have many ideologies, one root. So we have the religious branch, the humanist branch, the atheist branch, the agnostic branch, the communist, the scientist. They all believe I am a God. So how much difference is it? They are just on the same tree. The one is the left wing, the right wing. It doesn't matter. Everyone esteems themselves higher than the other. Everyone knows everything better, can do things better. Competition in contest, fights for power, judge, controller, violence, war, murder. I put the religions. Other religions, all other religions, I hope no one feels offense because we are all there on the same tree, esteems themselves higher than the other, know everything better, can do things better, competition in contest, fights for power, judge, control, violence, war, and murder. That's how it is it? Or am I saying too much? If the tree would have the root, I'm a creature of God, then there could be different nations, different capacities, different tasks, different sizes, tastes, skin color, whatever it would be. No one would esteem the other lower than himself. Sees himself equal with his neighbor. The Bible goes even further. Paul says, esteem the other higher than yourself. Every problem that we have comes because we esteem ourselves higher than our neighbor. Every problem comes only from overestimation. Even the subestimation comes from the overestimation. So think about it and see it. If we would see ourselves equal with the other, we would never have a conflict. Never ever. We would fight for any power because how can I do it? There would be no claim to know it better or do it better. There would be no competition. You see, we would do Bible competition and all this, but it's all from the deception. I need to be better than you. That if I'm equal with you, I don't need to be better than you. No fights for power. It will have nothing to do with power. No judging, no controlling, no violence, no war, no murder. What needs to be changed? The root of the issue. The I is, who am I? The evil I thinks I am God. The good I knows I'm a creature or a child of God. I am in need of love. I have no property. I cannot create anything, but I can take as much as I want, and the more I give, the more I can take. That's how it works. In the good eye, all actions are yours. The taking, the giving, and the not giving, and the not taking. But since you have to avoid loss, you never will keep or never will have something back. You will always, what you take, you will always give on because you live from giving it on. So what makes the heart deceitful? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? It is the idea, I am a God. And this cannot be explained because when you are a creature and you believe you're a God, then everything is mixed up in your life and there is something that is inexplicable as the result. So the heart is deceitful, as we see, above all things, and this leads to the human being that he believes I'm independent of love to take from a source. He believes love comes from himself. I can give from myself time, body, energy, not even only love, and I deserve to be appreciated and loved for what I am and do. And all those things are unconscious to the human being. He does not see it except in crisis. The crisis is, that's why, very good, because it brings out of you exactly what is in you. So a mother once told her daughter, before she got married, she should test the boy. And she gave a test that I don't recommend, but I recommend other tests. And she said to her daughter, before you marry, you need to make him drunk. Why? Because when the person is drunk, what comes out? Everything what is there. But you don't need to make him drunk. Just give him some stress. Don't be punctual. See how he reacts when suddenly you stay on the freeway, have no gas anymore, and you want to see how she reacts. And then you see, okay, now you know how crisis will be in your life. Yeah? And then you can decide if you can bear that or not. Yeah? Because only in stress. That's why the Bible says, count it all joy. When? When you come into diverse temptation. Because if your faith is genuine, it will create what? Patience. And patience will do a work that you will be ready, having need of nothing. Patience proves that you are not a God anymore. As long as you are impatient, you're still a God. Because you still need to control that what is not under your control. So we need to have temptations. Since my conversion in 2003, I had only 3 days vacation. Yes, I felt good. 3 days was very nice. I said, now I'm ready for heaven. And then came the greatest temptation, the greatest situation that I ever had in my life. Came exactly 3 weeks later. On intention or no intention? On intention, because I read a few days before, 3 days in a row, the Bible verses that I just shared in James chapter 1 from verse 2, and I read till verse 12 and 13, and I was reading it and I said, Lord, count it all joy when you get into temptations. I said, I'm feeling so good. Temptations to count it a great joy? So I left it alone. The next day I read it again and said, Lord, you need to explain to me. I don't understand. How can I be happy or joy when I get into problems? And I read it the third day as well. Because I said, Lord, I need to understand it. I don't understand it. And then I think the fourth or the fifth day, the crisis came. And in that moment when the crisis came, then I remember, I said, okay, the Lord said, you should what? Rejoice. Could I? But I was very happy because there in James 1:5, there is a Bible verse that gets you out of every problem. And that Bible verse says this, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who will not keep back nothing, but let him ask in faith. Because if he is a doubter, he is like not the waves of the sea. It's the strawhalm that is with us. Yes, in the field that is moved by the wind, you know it. And I'm a doubter by person. I'm like that. Yeah? And now God says, if you ask me, you will get the wisdom. And I promise to God that at my beginning of my journey, I will ask you before I act in a crisis. I will ask you first, how should I proceed with it? And I tell you, it works well. Unfortunately, sometimes I forget it. Yeah? But in the big things, I don't forget it. In the big things, I go and say, I need wisdom from God. before I enter this, because it can only help me. It will not destroy me. So the unconscious thing must come out. The cause of all problems of the human being is the lie that dwells within him. It's self-deception, separation from God, idolatry, sorcery, pride and selfishness, deception of others, exercise of power, envy, competition, control over others, loss of control, addictions of all kinds, anger, strife, discord, conditioning, coercion, rejection, adultery, fornication, contempt, impatience, hate, violence, murder, war, all diseases and all the evil in the world has one seat and one place, and that is in the human heart, deception. Through self-deception, man imprisons himself and thereby destroys himself. And disease is just the result of a self-destruction by deception. Not because we want to, but because we have to. So that's